So I've got my reflection. Here's the speaker. You can Google it if you want. I should add a link, but I'm not that smart. Dayton Audio makes these exciter speakers. This thing is like itty bitty, and you can see where I've done some really fancy wiring. I'm still hesitant to solder it. This is basically attached using two-sided tape, and I would love to relocate it. And I'll tell you why in a second, but there's that. The cable goes to the back. Let's put the guitar down for a minute. The cable runs to the back of my Blackstar HT5. It's a 5-watt amp, and I love it because it's teeny tiny, but it's got a 12-inch speaker in there. But here you can see main output, the main input, that's your power. There's one plug for the internal speaker, and then this thing is running to that 1x8 ohm or 2x12 ohms. I don't know what that does, so I'm just going with one. Emulated output and headphones, all right, one day we'll talk about that. But this cable, and it's green, I love these colored cables I bought because I can keep up with what the hell I'm doing, runs and connects to this thing. And you're in luck. I drew the best wiring you've ever seen. Here you can see the guitar goes output, from the guitar output into the amp input, and those two lines goes back to this thing and this speaker. So the pain in the butt here is, well, then there's two wires running to the amp and back to the guitar. What if I like to run around the stage? Yeah, whole lot of problems with this solution right now. However, the one problem that isn't there is how cheap it is. It's 30 bucks. I'm going to say 30. I think the speaker itself was 20, 23, and then the guitar cable I had laying around already. But not everybody is baller like me with, you like my painting? Yeah, I love that. So not everybody has extra guitar cables running around. So you're going to have to buy a cheap guitar cable off of Amazon. Speaker cable is probably the smarter way to go, but this was just my first experiment. See that? That's the thing right there. If I had it clean, I would have to turn the volume up. And so with the amp, this means the amp has to get louder. And the whole point is, I don't want the amp louder. So this is where I've got to have a separate amplifier just for this speaker. The question is, what about some other options? And I have one. This is, I might mess with this, but this kind of breaks the whole point of keeping it cheap. At what point am I solving a problem instead of coming up with a more expensive solution than a Sustainiac or a sustainer pedal? So this is a Bose speaker, which is pretty tiny, but is really bottom heavy, has a lot of bass, which you want because that's your vibration that sets off the, that's the vibration that sets off the guitar vibrating that gets your feedback. And I don't want to cut into this one and start experimenting with it because it's expensive, but this leads me to believe there's other cheap ones. So is this an option? It's Bluetooth. Could I stick this on the back of my guitar instead? Yeah, I could. I don't think it's going to work, and here's a couple of reasons. This is going to be a speaker with the complete output, so I'd have to cut it up or take the output of the entire doodad and put it into plug it into my speaker. That might work, but again, very expensive. Buy a cheaper version. But then the question is, all right, so Bluetooth has a split second of delay. Even with the wireless units that I've got, there's a very slight delay. Will that change feedback? I think it will, because the whole point is, I've got the guitar pointing right in front of the amp. This is a very boring video at this point, so. Oh, I love that though. But there's your explanation of the layout, what kind of speaker I'm using. Unfortunately, because of the two-sided tape, it's pretty much super glued to my guitar now. And so I can't even experiment with putting it in different locations. And for the people asking, you sexy motherfucker. I'm trying to do this over on here so I can put some really cool stuff up here, but that depends on what kind of video editor I get. It's Sunday night, y'all. I'm thrilled that I got this thing working. It's the first step in a development. I would love to either mass produce these and sell them, because that would be cool, to the 7 people who even understand and care about feedback from an amp like Hendrix. This is not feedback like Steve Vai, where you got the pinched harmonics and stuff. This is just an amp sounding like it's about to break. I think it's cool. It'll work for my tone, that's for damn sure. We'll keep going.